Josh and Garcia is the Garcia here for the flagship of Unlock the Middle. We're here ready to get them tools out there, sharpen them up, and getting ready for another successful week of learning and growing our kids. But most importantly, we're preparing to just also to sharpen the saw, as Mr. Covey says, the 7 habits of highly effective people, because a lot of us are going into that 1 week of recharge and rejuvenate. So let's join right now as we're waiting for our guest here, Mr. Kevin Curtis, coming around the corner. Whether you're in Alaska, whether you're in Hawaii, whether you're in Maine, or whether you're in Florida, or anywhere in the 48, come and join us so we could be part of this debate, this conversation. What do you think about that, Dean?
Hey, Josh, great to see you on a Sunday night once again. And, what do you think about that? What we do is we roll and we flow, no matter what happens on Sunday nights. And you know what? I really do look forward to speaking with Kevin when he comes on. But, if for whatever reason he doesn't make it here tonight, we're still going to make use of this time on Sunday night because 7 p.m. is a time that we have done now for the last year and a half, almost 2 years of trying to make education just a little better for people around us. Again, my name is Dean Packard. I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts. And alongside of me, obviously, I have Josh Tovar from Texas. And maybe joining us tonight, Chris Starcheski. I just talked to him earlier. He might pop in a little bit as well. So we'll see. But you know what, Josh? Let's ad-lib a little bit here. How are things going down at your school right now?
Well, you know what, the constant thing that we always know, there's one constant in our field, is change. And that's what makes us awesome. That's why we were able to fly that airplane and build it during those ugly disease years. And we're still doing it because we're still recovering. And hey, Shika, nice to have you here. I saw you there with Coach Hurt earlier 30 minutes ago. So you did not see Shika's show yesterday or Coach Hurt 30 minutes before. Join the Fantastic Four. How are things going? Things are going good. Dean, tis the season of crunch time. Tis the season of walkthroughs. Hello, Ross. How you doing? Fantastic Four on Tuesdays. We got T-test, which is our evaluation. It's coming around. We had to do those mid-years with our counselors. We're also preparing for those interim exams, getting ready for state exams. It's just testing season. You know that.
So for those who don't know that, Josh, you have a combined middle high school. So again, the school that I work in is grades 5 to 8. So we have a little bit of a different lens when it comes to preparation of kids and for that next level. So Josh, you got multiple wheels moving at once. So there's a lot going on there. There's no doubt about it. So again, we're in that, coming to the end of our second trimester. So a lot's going on too. So we got that state mandated testing coming up in April. We get that preparation for it. Obviously training the teachers, training the kids, all that stuff, and I hate to really put too much effort into it because at the end of the day, as an ex-head basketball coach, I used to say your preparation is done day to day. What we do is we fine tune to prepare our kids to do the best they can when it comes to these types of opportunities. And another thing we don't like to do is put too much anxiety on kids. So again, we don't roll out and just say, hey, here it comes, guys, get out of the way. We say, here it comes, embrace the opportunity to showcase what you've learned and how good you are about being you. And when you start thinking about things that way, it's a little bit easier. But, I've lost that loving feeling with those 9th through 12th graders. I haven't been in high school for a number of years right now. So obviously you're a little bit different with your planning right there, Josh.
Right, and it's like you stated, it's also 9 weeks exams coming up this week, and you know what? It's such a beautiful joy, Dean. Walking down one hallway, you got 10-year-olds, and you see them, and you're like, what did you just do?
I'm a rock star as a 10-year-olds. My God, I can't do wrong.
You go into the next hallway, and you got these kids that are like, going slow, walking around. Like, let's go. It's 9 weeks exams, bro. Let's go. Let's do this.
And they try to avoid you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just one of the things that I remember. The book that I think I brought up before. It's called "Learning to Kiss a Frog," something to that effect. And it really reminded me as an educator to mind myself because of all the biological changes that our kids are going through, both in the 7th and 8th grade and 9th grade years. And why they're always tired and why they put their heads down. And that's just, it's biology, they're going through puberty, their bones are growing, and it takes a toll on their bodies. And I explain that to them. And I tell them, that's okay right now, bro, but you know what? I need to be on your A game. So those conversations are a lot during this time because, we see those growth spurts. I know you see it, Dean.
We do.
And so it's one of the things that we, as educators, we need to keep in the back of our mind. I don't think the kid, and this would have been such a great topic with Kevin. Hopefully he joins us right now. And it's about understanding our kids Sometimes they just are tired. You're just
Yeah.
tired because of biology, and we need to remember that as human beings because we went through the same thing.
Yeah.
We went through the same obstacles. What do you think about that?
Well, I think they call that metacognition, learning to learn. And, it's one of the things that, sometimes educators will get caught up in because they are chasing a race through standards. And, when the pressure to be good and have all of your kids access those standards is upon you as a teacher, sometimes you forget to pump the brakes and you forget to allow kids their cycle of growth in adolescent development. And between the ages of 10 and 14, we see it a lot, but you see it between 12 and 18. So you see a really big scope of change, Josh. And it's hard. We'll watch kids as they come in as incoming fifth graders, and by the time they come out as eighth graders, they're young adults. And again, the body changes, the mind changes, the need for able to be able to understand or connect with learning is so hard for some of them. So that's the beauty and the magic behind a master teacher, though. And those teachers that get it. And I've often said, you know what, I'll still go down saying, and I'll never say any job in education is easy. But whenever you start to worry about how hard it is to connect with kids, go be an elementary teacher for a minute. When they teach 4 content areas in a 6-hour block of a day, and they got to tie in sensory breaks for kids and try to help them get, to me, they are the master tacticians. And then it funnels up all the way through middle school and high school. But you can take tools from anybody, Josh. And that's the beauty of learning about what learning is all about. So it's a fun time of year. This is a time of year where, I know the kids are getting anxious. They're getting excited. They see that they passed the halfway mark. So, good things are coming. There's no doubt about it.
And just to answer Shika's statement there, it's more than molasses, Shika. I don't know, but I know what they have in their pants. They got a mule. I don't know. They got a wagon. I don't know what they have. Something else. The way they walk to class. But yeah, Dean, it's just one of those things that we need to back of our mind to make us better educators. Is that they're going through this adversity. And another thing is, and you mentioned elementary, Dean. I've got kids that are 19, and some of them are going to be turning 20.
Yep.
The same building, because remember, elementary team members are across the country. When you hold back a kid 2 years, the ripple effects come at the high school level. So here you have a psychological barrier that a lot of our kids go through because they were detained or held back in kinder, then they were held back in third grade, and so there's this age disparity that when I talk to someone, I say, "Hey, how come you're 19? Talk to me. What's going on?" Yeah, I was held back. And so these are some of the ripple effects that I understand the decisions that are made in elementary, but they're affecting a grown adult at the high school level. And sometimes those are the crucial conversations we need to have in platforms like this. These are crucial conversations we need to have as a feeder pattern. This is the crucial conversation we have to have at the district level, that when you do hold back kids, you got to look at, cast a stone in water, it creates ripples of time. And some of these kids are defeated mentally because they're 19 turning to 20, and they're in the classroom with 18, 17-year-old.
Yep.
So it's those things that we need to think about when we make those decisions at an early age.
Let's break that down a little further, Josh. And I think this is a great time to talk about it. And I wish we had a couple more faces in on this call. But, when you see that child, and we look at MTSS and the tiered instruction and progress monitoring of kids, and we see that child who is failing and just not connecting with what the teacher is putting out there for them, I don't believe in any grade below a 50. I just don't, because I think what happens to kids when they get a 20 for a trimester grade, they're done. They're done before they get out of the gate. So what I really like to do is hold those deeper conversations with educators and say, listen to me. What is their access point? What can they do? Because something is better than nothing. And always remember that, because when we close a window or door on a child, that creates some animosity, some feeling of that they don't belong in the schools anymore. And guess what? We have to work through that brush sometimes to help them get better. So again, we could talk about assessment all day long, but I don't believe a grade should be below a 50 ever. And we got to find ways to ensure that they can still keep that window open. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, the good thing about being at the high school level, and you see that, like I said, the repercussions of, hey, you want to see that message that Shika, she's ready to jump in if you want to send her a link.
I'll send her a link. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I so agree with you. And one of the talking points we're going to have with Kevin today is that when you have a discipline problem, it's not a discipline problem, it's a connection problem. And so if you have this kid, and trust me, there are kids that try me left and right, Dean. They try me. And and you know, when Principal Cafele had us on the Fantastic Four on his podcast, please make sure you follow it and like it and share it. Episode 143. He talked to us about what we would tell ourselves at a younger age. And I was the mean AP you would not want to go to. I was that guy, D. And so the reason I'm bringing this up, it's because when we don't connect with our kids, sometimes it's hard to stop the recidivist behavior because then it's in opposition to you. That's either at the admin level because you keep on seeing Josh in your office, and it doesn't matter how harsh you punish him by in school suspension, sending him to home for 3 days, whatever it was. He's still gonna have to come back to you. You still
Sure.
gotta deal with him after that. After he chilled out at home on
Yep.
his Xbox,
Did
watching Jerry
nothing.
Springer.
Did absolutely nothing. Zero work. Yep. Yep. And yep.
Exactly. And
Yep.
so if we can't connect with them, and sometimes they put up that extra barrier not to connect with you.
Yep.
You know, it's challenging, and you feel like tapping out because you're thinking, I've got another 300 to worry about. Hey, Shika, thank you for coming on board.
Thank you for coming in. Talk about you coming in for a moment and then all of a sudden you're on the show. We'd love to have you here. You know that. How are you? Oh, we can't hear you. But that's okay. You're going to work through that in a moment. And Josh, going back, and that's where Kevin Curtis would have come in tonight with those restorative practices and those things. And we're trying to teach our educators how important it is to find the way to drive home lessons to help kids make those better choices. Because at the end of the day, sometimes there are barriers between connecting with learning and their behaviors. And those are things that we as adults have to be cognizant of to help kids become the true version of themselves.
Right.
Oh, still can't hear you. We can read your lips, though. I think you said, hi, Josh and Dean. It's great to see you.
And the thing is, and you know what, Dean, I agree with you on that because I was that kid, as I stated before, that would pick on the teacher to throw you off your A game.
Okay.
So I knew how to find your button and push it. I would push your button, and then the class would be anarchy. And so
Yeah.
there were, for out of the 46 minutes, I just killed the 10 minutes of anarchy. I wouldn't allow anything happening.
So, Josh, what are you doing right now in your building for restorative practices? What are some of the things? Like, I'll just tell you before you answer that. We're using a Navigate 360 platform at this point in time that have modules. And those modules they're awesome. They're great for kids. They're 25, 30 minutes. You can then have the kids reflect on it. You can do a small social circle with them if you want about the magnitude of their behaviors. And that correlates back to, instead of suspension, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put you through these processes, which I think is really good.
Right now, Dean, we, due to the nature of our building, that's an ongoing rotation. We really cycle kids in and out. Graduation, we bring them in. Kids that are from other countries, they get to an intermediate level. We don't have a consistent clientele as you do.
Yep.
So what we try to do normally, you there, Shika?
She's trying hard.
Right.
I know it's gonna work eventually, but that's okay. It's gonna work.
So what I just tell them, Dean, I tell our team members and I tell everybody is that to be proactive and let me talk to the kids. Send them to me because I'd rather turn off a match than a forest fire.
Yeah.
Send them to me beforehand so we just have a discussion on expectations.
But that discussion on expectations, what I no, so I can't hear you, Shaker. Is what do you do with that, Josh? Okay, you can have that discussion until you're blue in the face. How does it become real for kids? How do you create ownership of what we would consider rational behavior amongst peers? That's like the biggest thing that we go up against.
But you see, that's where what we do as procedures and SOPs of promoting positive. So those patterns of behavior that we establish every single day, we have something to celebrate success. It all ties in. It all ties into where the kids know that they're not in a, hey, coach, how you doing? Welcome. We have all those different ways to celebrate, and then you set the expectation and the bar for your kids, your Jaguars, to make sure that you know this is what we expect from you. And then it's not just, look, this is good. We show, we have it plastered all over because you know that the walls speak for what your culture is. They
Right.
say it. And when they see all the walls filled with successful either people or successful students of the week, they know that we're promoting a beautiful learning place to where they feel comfortable and they know that all it takes is a little fine tuning.
Yeah, and that fine tuning eventually will lead towards adjustments. We would hope and individual growth. It's just to me, it's a little slower as you talk with younger kids. It just is because their real reality is something that they don't see what ours is at times, and
Right,
there's a lot of reasons why. Um, and unfortunately, it's hard to unpack them all. But again, the world that they live in, their environments, what drives them, when they come into school, now all of a sudden you're right in the middle of we'll call it a constricted fairway where you have to do things a certain way, where there is a level of compliance. Okay. And freedoms, there are a check a little bit. Okay. But it's not to a level where you're told what to do every second. But
right.
sometimes that's difficult for kids as they're growing up.
And one of the things that the beautiful thing about our family is that the beautiful thing is that they understand who what the majority of our clientele are kids from Afghanistan, El Salvador, Honduras, Africa, Vietnam, and they know that they're suffering through PTSD because they've been uprooted from their countries
Yep.
and they come. And so it's one of those things that it's not the traditional factory style 1980s system. I tell them you got to rewire yourself to kids that always come to us emotional distress because
Yeah.
the brain will always go into a fight or flight, and
Well,
that's
you
a
say
beautiful thing.
You say that PTSD, but guess what? Trauma informed practice comes around all the time with kids from even environmental. So, I mean, it's coming in from all angles. But that's the beauty and the magic by what we do in education. We make sure we take anything and anyone in front of us and help them become better and connect with something. That's the coach inside of every educator. That's the driving force. That's the pilot light that makes us do what we do each and every day. If you're just coming in to teach your math and you're not teaching kids, guess what? Guess what? You've lost an opportunity to have a greater impact. And we talk about that all the time, Josh. And we talk about the importance of, kids don't care how much you know until how much they know how much you care. So, and you said that since day one you've been on here. So these are just things that are within our control. But I still say, as we're coming back to the post-COVID time period, and we're trying to keep kids as regulated as possible and getting back to I don't want to call it the old style learning because I'll call it the evolved style of learning, then there are still things that we have to do to ensure that pathways are consistent. And it's we thump the drum every single day. And you know what? Sometimes those same mistakes are made over and over and over again.
So how are your kids doing? How are the Bears doing over there with their choices right now as you're getting close to spring break?
At our school,
Yeah,
yeah, they're getting better. We have our couple of handful of kids that still test the waters all the time, and they want to know what the rules are at the level of which they can test them. And you know what? That's conducive to middle school. I mean, we get it.
right,
We got our some of these kids that go in and try to vape in the bathrooms. We got these other kids who try to skip class. You got these other kids that will try to push the buttons of teachers. And it's not fair, but it's part of growing up. It's just part of growing up. You put 600 kids in a building like in my school. Guess what? There are going to be blips on the screen. It's never going to be perfect. But what it's
right.
going to be, hopefully, is consistent. And hopefully that you're always going to follow through to the same level that you always do. And you give kids an opportunity to be a little better each day. And without losing your cool, without dropping the bomb on people, because
Right.
nobody wins when you do that.
No. And so let's shift it a little bit. All right, in Massachusetts, what do you guys have to do for teacher evaluations?
So our evaluations are pretty standard. We have an evaluation cycle set forth by the Department of Education that we have to follow. Well, we adapted it and made some adaptations. So if you're a professional status teacher, somebody has more than 3 years, you got to get at least one evaluation throughout the year that lasts 30 minutes. Okay. If you're a non-professional status teacher, you're supposed to get 3 to 4, and those are supposed to last anywhere from 3 to 4, about 30 minutes each. They're supposed to be announced and unannounced. You're supposed to record them, and you're supposed to have pre and post conversations and just talk about learning in general. All that stuff is so important. I'm not a huge fan of the evaluation. You know what I'm a huge fan of is the conversation we have after an evaluation. When you have those talks as you're passing by the teacher or you're sitting in the room for a second, man, how great was that connectivity of that lesson? So huge. Absolutely good stuff. But how about where you are? What are you guys looking at?
Well, yeah, you got some kudos there from Central. He's saying shout out to you for preaching.
Yeah, thanks, Central. Appreciate that.
Nasia from Pakistan. Welcome. Salam. Welcome to Unlock the Middle flagship show. Reach out to us if you're an educator. We'll have you on the show. Come on over. Yeah, Dean, what we do is in Garland, our projection and our goals are that each administrator has 100 walkthroughs in the year. We do. We try to average out 5 per week, and then you have the formative. We call it T-test, and it's a rubric. And you do the pre and the post. And when you do those formal walkthroughs, you do the reflective feedback. You get together with them, making sure that you let them know that it's all tied to a rubric. It has 3 dimensions, and you sit down and you go through that through your PD sessions, through your own at the start of the school year, throughout the year. And it's those things that are the look fors, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
and the beautiful thing about the rubric is that you no longer have to think what the administrator looking for. It's what the rubric says. There is no more, oh, he's my favorite or she's my favorite. No, did you see it? And that's the only thing that you plot. And I'm pretty sure Coach Central can agree to that since he's here in Texas. But it's just stick to the rubric, what you see, and we anchor on proficient. There's 5 different measures, and anchor on proficient. And if it's student-centered, you go to the left. If it's sage on the stage, you go to the right. And that's why we're taught to script. So everything that you're in there, you script it out, and you provide your notes to your team members on what you observed during that time.
Have you ever thought about asking students how the learning went? It's one of the things that are frowned upon sometimes, obviously, because it's not part of the evaluation rubric. Well, it is when they do student surveys at the end of the year. But that great teacher has no problem saying, how did this work for you? And and you all of a sudden you collect that data coming back at you and say, maybe I can make those adjustments right now. But everything you're talking about, Josh, we do the same here. You've got the summatives, you got the formatives, you got the mid-year cycles. All those things have to be done. And it's part of our job. And we'll do 300, 400, evaluations throughout a year. Absolutely, when it comes to everybody in a building. But they're timely, they're quick hits sometimes, and they're just an opportunity to ensure that we're calibrating on all cylinders and we're doing the things we're supposed to do. When you walk into a classroom, you see the learning objectives on the board. You see the startup activity. You see students engage. You hear student discourse. You see students collaborating together. All that stuff is so important, man. Just so important.
It is, and it's just back to your question: is if we ask our kids, who tells us who the awesome teachers are? The kids that come to us with behavior issues.
They do. I agree with you. They sure do.
And okay, Shika. And who also tells us, who does not fake the funk, as Principal Cafeles tells us? The cafeteria tells us who the star teachers are. Because throughout there, you hear teachers' names being bounced around. They bounce them around. Well, all right, Nasia. Submit your application wherever you're looking for. We wish you the best.
Shika. Yes. You are destined to get an A for effort tonight for trying to join in on the fly. Your smile says it all. We would love to hear your voice and jumping in with us. I don't get it. Are you on a? Well, I don't sign language well. I can read lips a little bit. So I'm not even going to be presumptuous to what you're saying. We'll just give you the wave. Great to see you as always. As always. Yeah,
So,
so a lot of those things are important, Josh. We're talking about those, the evaluations, the walkthroughs, the climate, the things of that nature. But one thing that's happening this week at our school that really excites me is we have our student support team is putting together a wellness week, and it's a good opportunity for us to create healthy activities for kids. It's tied in with the Heron Project. Chris Heron, he does this national project each year, and it's all about good choices. It's all about learning healthy things. And, from physical to emotional to mental, all those things, and helping kids walk through circles of decisions. We have our district attorney coming in that's going to come in and talk to the kids about a lot of safety stuff. We have a lot of group activities planned. You think about that. That's just, it's a break from the norm from kids, but it's also a supportive means to help them grow and to become better learners, because we're not in the business of widgets here. We're in the business of kids. And they all come to us different shapes, sizes, and needs. And I'll say that until I'm blue in the face. And their access points to learning differ from each and every one of them. So whatever we can do to keep them tight and concise and give them the opportunity to be their best versions of themselves, then guess what? We're setting our school up for success.
well, thanks, Shika. We know you tried.
We did. We give her an A for effort. I'm going to
We
put
know
that
you
on
tried.
our evaluation on our summative at the end of the year.
There you go.
Actually, I'm going to
So,
give her exemplary. So, because I know that she
so
can
yeah,
handle
Dean,
it.
it's one of wish you the best this week. With your practices, we're going, like I said, into 9 weeks exams in our district, and after that, we'll be doing spring break. Time to sharpen the saw, getting into that.
Yeah, we're done. We have April vacation coming up, and that's a hard thing between February and April. You go for a month, you start testing, then you take a break, and you come back after that and you finish your testing. And then guess what happens? You see the finish line right in front of you, just down the road. So, I mean, yeah, it's a great time to be in school. There are a lot of things shaping up. You start planning for next year, and I'm sure you're like me. You're starting to look at all the kids you're going to be having coming in. You're looking at their needs. You're looking at their entry points. You're putting together groups for teachers. You're collaborating with your adjustment counselors to ensure that they're accurate groups, and you are just preparing that roadmap or that on roadmap for next year. And it's a cycle that just doesn't end. And now's the time to do it. March is a great time.
It is. It is.
No.
All right, Dean. Well, I guess we'll have to reschedule there with Kevin. Hopefully, he's okay. Everything's all right.
Yeah, we hope
Hold on.
so. I thought you did a really good job ad libbing tonight. Huh.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Oh
you're
man,
not bad.
Kevin. Hope everything's okay. He was in a car accident. Take care of
Oh
yourself,
gosh.
brother.
Oh my
Take care of
God.
yourself, brother. Take care of
Yes,
yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah, just to all our audience out there, this platform, this great platform that was created by Chris and Dean, I highly suggest that for the next couple of Thursdays, you check out the shows. They're already booked. They're already planned. Coming up, we have educators continuing their education. Then we're going to have a special ed show. Then we're going to have
Love that.
state champion football coaches. State champion. The biggest division in the state of Florida, in the state of California, Louisiana, and Texas. Those head coaches are going to be together here and Unlock the Middle talking about what it takes to change a team's culture. Then we're also going to have a board members program. We're also going to have our leadership we normally have. I mean, there's great topics, great alignment created by Chris and Dean. So great stuff coming down the pike. Join us for that zone, but also that 20-minute. I see that we gotten like hundreds and hundreds of follows or views on those 20-minute shows.
Yeah.
They're real world examples, guys. So if you're in college right now and you're looking to go into the chair, or you're already there your first year or fifth year, and you have probably never faced a bench clearing baseball fight, well, this is where you find out about it. This is how you learn from people that have actually gotten dirty in their three-piece suit and tell you what can happen out there. So join us for office hours Tuesdays and this
So Josh,
Thursday.
make it a point. If anybody has a scenario out there you want to DM us, we'll throw that on for you. Please just DM Unlock the Middle, and we'll throw that on an episode, and we'll break it down for you. We'll send it back to you. Again, we'll put on a bunch of different people just so we can get different perspectives for it. This is why we do this. We don't do this for ourselves. We do this to be able to give back just to the things and the things we love so much, and that's helping people become a little better. So I appreciate that. Yeah. So
and if you're out there, hey, wherever you're at, anywhere. Someone reached out from the Philippines, just so you know, Dean. We're gonna have him on the show.
Love it. Good. That's what it's all
So,
about.
so join us. Reach out to Dean, to Chris, to myself. We got a schedule set up. We're already in May. But if you want to be part of the show, let us know. Just reach out. We'll be in contact. We'll schedule you for either the Tuesday, Thursday show, because this is how we learn. We learn by experiences, knowledge of real world world life examples. So join us. And this Thursday, the Red Zone,
9:00.
educators continuing their education. Come join us.
Hey, everybody, have a great week out there. Appreciate you, Josh. Great job tonight ad living. We made it work. A couple of nuggets are out there. Everybody, have a great week. Take care.
Thanks, Coach.